Hey, I mean, if you want some more fun behind the scenes stories, how about Columbus Crew and West Ham fighting each other? Huh? All right, so there were some really good sources on this one, so I do want to definitely give credit. First one, I specifically sourced this article because it has the funniest name to an article that I've ever seen. It is written by the Associated Press and it was published by the New York Times, and it was titled "Hooliganism Follows British Team to Ohio." That is fantastic. What a great title to an article. And then I also took some notes from uh, an article by Steve Sirk called Sirk's Note, The Birth of the Nordecke. And then there was also video that Andrew so nicely linked into our file by Sean David. 4 parts video, each of them being about like 15 seconds to a minute. Um, which shows some of the actual like fighting between fans and fans getting escorted out. So another good resource if you want to actually see any of the incidents. And then as well, there was a play-by-play of the game posted on West Ham's website, which was also pretty helpful because there was not a lot of details about this game. All right, so let's jump into it though. So it's just a friendly between two teams that never play each other. So how seriously can people take it? Said nobody in Columbus, apparently, because we are going to talk about the brawl between West Ham and the Columbus Crew that happened during a friendly back in July 2008. So you might be asking yourself, why would West Ham come over to the US back in 2008 when even less people in the country cared about the sport? A very fair question to ask. The answer is for two reasons. One is that West Ham were about a month out from the English season starting, so it makes sense that they would start playing friendlies to get in shape. The second and more crucial detail as to why they were playing friendlies in the US specifically was that they were the side chosen to take on the MLS All Stars that year, a tradition that began playing against European sides in 2005 and mysteriously ended in 2022. It's weird that they didn't have a game in 2023, but we don't talk about that. So while West Ham may be out of season, Columbus were in the thick of their season. Coming into this friendly, the Crew were sitting second in the supporter shield. So this side was no slouch. This was a good team. The game was set to be a good one, and boy, did us MLS fans get a good one. The game kicked off as normal and had a lot of early action. In the 6th minute, West Ham's Dean Ashton fired one past Crew keeper Andy Grunenbaum to give the Irons the lead. Columbus did not waste much time to get into the action, as in the 20th minute, a Corey Elenio cross found the head of Jason Gary, whose header beat Rob Green to level the score. Again, the action was coming fast and frequent, and in the 26th minute, pressure from Mark Noble would cause Brad Evans to score an own goal past Grunebaum to restore the West Ham lead. That would round out the goals from the first half, bringing a lot of excitement, but maybe some frustration from Columbus fans watching their team lose the lead, and especially losing the lead through an own goal. Halftime is where the incident kicks off. According to the article by the Associated Press, the fight began after West Ham fans began to enter the northeast corner of the Crew Stadium, which the AP quotes as the area in the stadium with the most boisterous fans. The article doesn't do a good job at explaining this section, so let's do a quick history lesson. Both these boisterous fans and this section of the stadium are called the Nordecke. According to Steve Sirk, the Nordecke was born in 2007 when multiple Crew supporters groups, that being the Crew Union, Hudson Street Hooligans, and La Turbina Amarilla, were shoehorned into the north corner of the stadium, later named the Nordecke. The game in question was against Toronto FC, who had nearly 2,300 fans travel to this away game. Despite that, Steve said that when he sat in the middle of the stadium, the 1,000 Crew fans in the soon to be named Nordecke were much louder than the 2,300 Toronto fans, showing just how dedicated the Nordecke are. What further brought on the birth of the Nordecke was the trash talking Toronto fans did prior to the start of the season. So when the two sides met and many Toronto fans made the trip all the way to Ohio, Crew fans knew they needed to show up in a big way. With the quick history lesson done, let's get back into the brawl itself. Because of the West Ham fans invaded the Nordecke, Crew fans began to direct their chants towards the West Ham fans in that section, who apparently did not take to the chants very well. As a result, fights began to break out, and the AP quoted around 100 Crew fans and 30 West Ham fans being involved in the fights. In part one of the video uploaded to YouTube by Sean David, you could see West Ham fans being escorted up the stairs by event staff, all while fans of both sides continue to chirp and try to grab at one another. One West Ham fan can be seen walking out with a clearly torn up shirt, likely from a brawl that occurred prior to when recording began. Part three of the video takes place just outside the seating area. And while the video is very zoomed in, you can clearly see a West Ham fan being put in a chokehold by event staff. The final part sees the West Ham fans continue to chirp back at the Crew fans as event staff is escorting them out of the stadium, all while Crew fans chant relegation and USA. That's the most American chant I've ever heard. Thus, seemingly ends the brawl. The rest of the game was not nearly as eventful as the first half, but it did see one more West Ham goal in the 52nd minute by Kyle Reed after a great run by Craig Bellamy. The game would finish 3-1 and see West Ham claim the win, but even though it was just a friendly and the Crew didn't win, this will surely be a game that any Crew fan in attendance will never forget. Oh, and if you're wondering about the All-Star game, well, MLS got a bit of revenge as they beat West Ham 3-2 after goals from Christian Gomez, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, and Dwayne De Rosario.